In this very exciting, very relevant, very applicable podcast episode of the Intuitive Alchemy podcast, I will be teaching you how authenticity makes you a spiritual disruptor and how to protect yourself on an individual level from spiritual and energetic attacks from narcissists, energy vampires, haters in general, and how to use your spirituality as armor against spiritual warfare on a collective level. We are going through crazy times and we are healing from so many different limiting and just unserving paradigms in our culture right now via just honoring our needs and putting ourselves first and expressing boundaries and holding people accountable, and not via cancel culture, by the way. This is a healthy way of going about it. There's a lot of intense healing going on, but there is still so much trauma on a collective level that only compounds the trauma that we go through on an individual level. So I want to help you with this in this podcast episode. And if you don't know me, I'm Holly. I'm an intuitive development coach, a spiritual teacher, and a shamanic guide who teaches you to quantum leap across different dimensions and utilize all the potential that exists you right now in the quantum field using your gifts. And I teach people to do this inside the Intuitive Alchemy Collective, which is a coaching membership where you have access to me as a coach and all my experience and all my knowledge and all my wisdom, so that you can harness your gifts, so that you can manifest a life crazier than your wildest dreams by utilizing your gifts and manifesting with ease and precision. So this is what I aim to do. All the content in the Intuitive Alchemy podcast is designed to support that on the level that everybody has access to. So I hope this podcast is, helpful for you, but in particular this episode, because it is going to help you in whatever context you're going through right now, and the things around you that are draining your energy are no longer going to be a problem for you. So let's get started. This episode was inspired by one of my members inside the Intuitive Alchemy Collective during a quantum breakthrough session, because she wanted to share some things with me on a personal level, face-to-face, one-to-one, privately, that she was very excited about because she was manifesting so many crazy things from being a member inside of this collective. Also, simultaneously trying to hold space for somebody inside the collective who was really going through a hard time right now with some tremendous loss and grief. And she didn't want to take away from that person, needing space to, be supported and encouraged inside of this sacred private membership. But at the same time, when I'm hearing her talking about her major wins, there are so many facets of people pleasing that are coming up, which includes, not being able to realize that we live in abundance and we always have space no matter what anybody else is going through. We always feel like we can't share our wins because someone else is going through a difficult time. And this is so wrapped in people pleasing, and it just isn't healthy or conducive to relationships and healthy support in a supportive community like the Intuitive Alchemy Collective, because that's what it's there for. And it shouldn't matter what someone else is going through, because you're there to take up space as well, and you have that right. So I really want to talk about people pleasing and how it leads to so much self-sabotage and just drains your spirit, because we're trying to control how people perceive us. And that isn't in alignment with our authenticity. So to be different and to live your authenticity is to also hold space for someone while celebrating and honoring your own wins. You are allowed to take up space. This podcast episode, if it is anything, let it be permission for you to take up space and to celebrate the things that you are proud of, that you are manifesting, especially if you're a member inside of the Intuitive Alchemy Collective. We are there to support you and encourage you and celebrate you no matter what else anybody else is going through. And I'm sure that they would want to support you as well. So it's really just unnecessary to hold yourself back because of what someone else is going through or because someone has it worse. And this is so draining, and it just takes away from our own identity and our own, light that we shine to everybody. We dim ourselves so that someone else could shine theirs. And that's just so rooted in lack, because there's more than enough space for people to take up, especially in a safe, supportive community like the Intuitive Alchemy Collective. So she's telling me about all these wins coming from following her intuition and just what she's learning inside the group and what's happened since she started joining. And it's so incredible. But at the same time, it is making her stand out to everybody. When she goes out in public, she gets noticed. She dresses very well. She's beautiful. She glows. She's a shining light. She supports everyone, and she doesn't ask for much in return, but she's giving so much that it's taking away from her light, and it turns into things like resentment and wanting to hold yourself back, while also fearing people in general and going out and sharing yourself with others because they just want to take advantage of your light. And unfortunately, there are people who are out there that are just, they're a part of the system, and their role and purpose in their lifetime right now is to be an NPC. So in the Matrix, if you want to call it that, there are characters who are literally here as people who aren't actually human, to put it simply. And so they're either like gray people, or the grays, if you've heard of that, just parasites, people who are possessed. They all serve a purpose, just like we do in our own lifetime. Every time we come here to live a life, we serve a purpose, and then we die, and we learn lessons, and we come back. So as part of this illusion, this game, this matrix, there are entities that are here on Earth to hold us back, to get in the way, to intermingle with the quantum field, to accomplish certain things via the duality of life, like going through hard times in order to achieve certain levels of success. So they do serve their purpose, and we can learn to just ignore them and not absorb them, because they can sabotage us. And the more we become aware of these things during a spiritual awakening in particular, the more scared and fear that comes up from our ego trying to keep us safe and limited and not aware of what's beyond the veil, and it just becomes so scary. So I shared with my client that everything you create is in your own reality, because without you being a focal point of the universe, you wouldn't see anything. Like, your body is creating your reality through your mind and through your senses. So everything as a result comes from you. So I told her that my will is stronger than any sort of attack on my spirit, because my soul is free. My soul is always sovereign, and only God could rule me. Only the Lord has power over me. Everything else is a construct of my mind, including my external reality. And my will and my sense of assuredness is bigger than anything. My light shines brighter than any amount of darkness, no matter how dark. So we must realize that nothing can touch us except for death, and also, sin. So if we're sinning, we're damned to live in this world in a state of like fear, and it's just ungodly, it's unholy, and it just is the devil trying to keep you down and stuck in the matrix. So you must know that everything you create, including your own mind, is designed to elevate you, to help you grow, to expand you. So it's not designed to attack you. And you can just realize that everything is a construct of my own reality, and I choose not to give these entities my power. I am stronger and burn brighter than these entities. And when you learn to establish healthy boundaries with people who are here to reflect the trauma that you need to address, like narcissistic trauma bonds, for example, these people serve a purpose so that you could heal and move on to the person who knows how to love themselves and who knows how to hold healthy boundaries, because you wouldn't be able to do these things without the experience that it came from. And that is something that happened in my own life, where I was, I grew up with narcissistic relationships as the models that I went by, and also the relationships in my adult years before my husband came from the healing I did from these abusive relationships. and they serve their purpose. As awful as they were, I would never take it back. But when you learn to hold boundaries from this place of narcissistic trauma, you realize that these things have to happen for a reason, but you do not have to put up with them. You do not have to give them the time of day, but you do need to express boundaries, especially around narcissists and energy vampires. And as you ascend and you awaken and your consciousness expands and your gifts get better and your healing and your boundaries and shadow work are all being established, you automatically don't even have to enforce boundaries with people because they could just sense it. You are like shining so bright with a healthy sense of will over your own convictions and your own responses and reactions to things that nothing can touch you. And if people come into your life that take away from you or beg you to act in a certain way, and you are afraid of being rejected by these people, so you do give into their manipulation, you are not living in authentic alignment, and it will crush you over time. And so when you start to embody that power that comes from healing and holding healthy boundaries and realizing that who you surround yourself with is what allows you to shine authentically, because you cannot shine in a place that doesn't support it. You will constantly be told to act a certain way, to think a certain way, to behave a certain way, to walk on eggshells, to make someone happy at the expense of your own happiness and goals, and to try to change others when you have your own issues. These are all things that take away from who you are and your authentic alignment. So just have a sense of assuredness that you control everything in your life, and you can make different choices, and you could let go of certain relationships, and you could hold boundaries with others. And if they don't respect your boundaries, they're not meant to be in your life. And that you will be hated no matter what, you will be misunderstood no matter what by certain people. You will be compelled to want to explain yourself to others, and you do not have to. So remember, this is permission that you do not have to people please. You do not have to live at the expense of your own needs and your own happiness, and nor do you have to live a life that is stuck in the matrix where you're working until you die and then that's it. And then you come here and you live another cycle of hell in another lifetime. You don't have to do this anymore. So this is all stuff that I talked with my member about, my client, because this is what she's experiencing in her day-to-day life as someone who is living authentically and in their power. And it does attract people who are trying to absorb it or take advantage of it or to just be petty and evil. Like, people, it reflects what they lack, and they can't handle it and makes them feel bad, and they don't do their own work. So they will do things to try to sabotage your own light or try to aggravate you or try to trigger you to make your shadow side come out so that they can hold it against you. And you don't have to do that. For me, for example, having this podcast and sharing my voice authentically comes with that vulnerability, that exposure to people online who are hateful and just are here to spread hate. And I don't have to argue with them. I want to defend myself when they make false assumptions of me, but I don't have to. And it's so easy just to block and delete, like, instantly. That's how easy these things are. That's how easy it is to just hold boundaries with people and not give in to things, especially when you are in your power, because you are choosing to respond instead of react. And the response could just be like, go away, I'm not doing this. And I don't have to explain myself to anyone, especially haters, especially people on the internet who are just so intent on misunderstanding you that it's just a waste of time. And you'll realize over time that when you pick your battles, life gets easier. You don't worry about defending your choices to people or the way that you think to people or your goals and dreams. You will just naturally be around people who are in support of that, and everyone else is just, they don't matter. They don't matter. And the people who do judge, they don't care. And that's what I told my client. I'm like, she's like, how do I save myself from people who are going to judge me? And I'm like, in the grand scheme of things, even if they judge you, they don't care. They want to judge you. They just want to judge you. They don't actually care about what the things that they're judging you for. And in the grand scheme of things, they won't even remember. Like on their deathbed, they're not going to remember judging you, because it's just everyone has their own lives, everyone is doing their own thing, and they just want to be judgmental because they're running away from their own pain or judgment against themselves. So that's how we protect ourselves on an individual level. When people are, projecting or gaslighting, we hold healthy boundaries and we just tell ourselves, like, I will not tolerate this. The way we live life is because we settle for things. We settle for the treatment of people in order to gain their respect or love or appreciation, or to get praise from people who won't even give you praise, even if you do achieve the things that you set out to do that are just mind-blowing. They'll just find a way to minimize it or to gaslight you because they're petty and envious and jealous that they're not doing things, and that they're stuck in their own traps of the mind and the matrix and the devil, especially narcissists who are constantly just running from their own pain. So don't take anything personally by what people say either, because they're just projecting. That's another way to protect your energy, is that what people say and do is a reflection of them, not of you. So I want to make that probably the most important point, that even when they're looking at you, because they're projecting their own reality, they see what they want to see, and some people won't see it any other way. So who cares what they think? If they're not there to support you and they're just strangers, who cares? Who cares? So on a macro level, we have cultural programming and fear narratives that cause a victim mindset, a learned helplessness, that over time there is no control. There's nothing we could do to change our circumstances because the system is designed against us. And yes, it is, but we don't also have to believe that it keeps us stuck. There is systemic oppression. My background in social work and psychology and liberal arts is, I'm not minimizing that there are systemic barriers, but there is a way to achieve the things that we want to achieve. And to change our mindset, we must look for proof that we can achieve the things we want because others have, and then we tune out the noise. So we look for proof, we surround ourselves with people who support us and encourage us, and they don't minimize our dreams or our thoughts or our beliefs. And we undo our programming by unlearning the things that have been taught to us that keep us dull, that keep us distracted, that keep us small, especially because you are infinite. You as a soul are infinite, and we come here to live in a myriad of ways. Like an infinite amount of possibilities exist at 100% of the time in the quantum field, but also on Earth, because that's what we came here to do, is to experience life here. And God gave us the ability to experience so many different things in so many different perspectives as people, as creatures on Earth, and the different things that exist on Earth, and the sequence of events that can exist. Like, it's infinite, and we're here to experience that as a collective and as souls on an individual level. So we unlearn that programming that we can't achieve what others have achieved because they're special. We're all special. We are all given gifts. We're all given strengths. And our purpose is to share that with the world and live by it, and to use our strengths and our gifts to manifest whatever we want, because we have the power to. And people are just proof that we can achieve these things. People have come from nothing and have achieved billions of dollars. Like, it's not something that just exists to certain people, regardless of privileges or perceived privilege or lack thereof. That is so victim mindset, limiting mindset. And when we are embracing this spiritual potential, we are also realizing and acknowledging that infinite potential exists at any moment for all of us. And we can make different choices that are linear towards the goals. So we reverse engineer everything and we unlearn all that programming. So that's one major facet of protecting your energy and your sense of self from the collective, because you are doing the work just to unlearn the conditioning in the first place. And then you're healing your trauma, which also heals things on the collective, especially when you surround yourself with people who want to also heal. And then you're all encouraging people and spreading healthy vibes and good vibes and changing interactions and dynamics and relationships with people who also want to change their dynamics and relationships. And so this is healing us on the collective level, and all that trauma is no longer being having an impact on you, because you are, getting rid of the things that are traumatic to begin with, focusing more on what nourishes your souls and your soul's needs, by not being around people who expect you to conform to their will. And then when you start to tune out the noise and see the illusion, you'll see that all the propaganda that exists is just noise designed to hold your attention. And you realize that's all it is. As dystopian and as scary as it can be, because that's what they're doing with that propaganda, you realize that most of it's just BS. And it's all orchestrated. And the more you awaken, the more bleak things seem. But you could also see it that it's all just a sham, mostly designed to keep us trapped, to keep paying taxes, and to keep this system going. But when we heal on an individual level, we are healing the collective. So we are protecting ourselves on the collective. So just tune out the media, start to live with intention, and curate a life that feels good on your nervous system, like not even looking at news at all. Curating your feeds and your algorithm to show you content that supports your mental health, that supports the hobbies that you have and the interests that you have, so that it is not even showing you a glimpse of any politicized content whatsoever. And it keeps you from being stuck in fear, in that constant state of fear that they're perpetuating every single day. Every day. We are not meant to know what's going on beyond like 200 kilometers of our commune. So it's just live more in a way that feels good to your nervous system, and cut out anything that doesn't. And that's how you protect your energy. If you are stuck in a relationship that just doesn't feel good, and you can't quite leave the environment yet, do anything possible to protect yourself on a fundamental level, like securing safer places, leaving the relationship. There are resources for you if you're willing to look. Depend on the people around you who are supportive and non-toxic. There are ways to go about it in ways that you wouldn't even conceive, but today you're starting to learn that you have options. You have to be willing to see them. You need that awareness, and you expand your consciousness, and you spiritually awaken and can use that as armor, realizing that you are in control of your destiny. You can hold boundaries with people. You could put yourself in a healthy environment, and there are people there that exist to support you. Even if you don't have anyone in your life, there are still resources that could help you. You just have to be willing to see it. You have to be willing to address your own needs. You have to be willing to allow yourself to reparent yourself, to do the shadow work, to heal, and do all the things necessary to keep you from living in paradigms that suck the soul out of you, literally. So work on your trauma and be an example to others of what's achievable when you start to do the work, when you start to accept your potential and your capacity for growth and achieving the things that you want to achieve. And as you follow your intuition, you will heal these things as a byproduct of following your authentic and highest self via your intuition and your senses and your psychic senses, and what feels good to you and your body and on a nervous system level. And so you're not absorbing so much as you would before after listening to this video and applying these insights into your life in a practical manner. And I teach you more how to do that inside the Intuitive Alchemy Collective. So if you want to join and you want to talk to me and I make content from your troubles to help you, please join via the link. There's a 7-day free trial in the comments. It'll be pinned, or it's in the description, to join the Intuitive Alchemy Collective. And I'd love to help you really apply these things and integrate them into your life so that you can use your spiritual armor in defense against the spiritual warfare, and to not absorb other people's energy, to not absorb their hate, and to not feel resentful because you're always putting someone else ahead of you and not living in honor of your needs, which just dims your light. All of this just dims your light and keeps you out of alignment, and your body screams at you, your intuition screams at you. And all the symptoms of being overwhelmed or overburdened or burnt out or resentful are just signs that you are not in alignment, and that you are absorbing other people's expectations of you, and that you are stuck in the matrix doing the 9 to 5 but not willing to change. Like, these are all things that come from your capacity for infinite potential, but you have to be willing to take action in the first place, and you have to be willing to acknowledge that you want change, and it's going to be scary. But you can wear your spirituality as armor, realizing that no matter what, you will be okay. When you start to live in alignment, you start to gain self-trust, and you're no longer self-sabotaging, you're no longer people-pleasing, and people like narcissists just they don't even have an effect on you, because you have done the work and you feel so self-assured and have such strong, healthy boundaries that nothing could faze you. And so that's what living in alignment is like. And it's almost rebellion in a way, because we are taught to live in a certain way, and to do things a certain way, and to feed the system and constantly consume to keep the machine running. And it's falling apart anyway. So we might as well just start living in a way that honors our soul and nourishes our soul. And so this will trigger people. If I haven't made that clear, you living in alignment will cause rifts in your relationships. You might lose people. You'll enter a dark night of the soul, and you'll be like, was this all worth it? I'm going crazy. And it is so worth it on the other side, because you will start to learn what peace feels like, and it'll feel so good. And you'll want to run away from it, but you'll keep coming back to it, realizing you want more and more and more, and realizing how priceless and invaluable peace is. And it comes from living a life that is simple and in alignment with how you want to live, and the beliefs that you want to have, and the authenticity that you want to exude. So your frequency will become a threat to the systems and the people in your life who are trapped in that system, and who benefit from you being silent, or from your self-sabotage, who exploit you or suck the energy from you, or you have non-reciprocal relationships. All these things will fall away, and it's totally normal. And take your time and just be compassionate, because the more compassionate you are, the more self-love that you cultivate, and the more healing that you do, and you'll realize you just have to go through it. It's all part of the process. So don't abandon yourself because these things suck or they feel scary. Just keep choosing you. So here are some signs that you're under spiritual attack, including a sudden exhaustion, confusion, and self-doubt, out of nowhere anxiety, overthinking, or inner critic surges, recurring people or patterns that tempt you into drama, codependency, or distraction, and feeling drained after certain interactions, especially with narcissistic or envious individuals, especially passive-aggressive, covert relationships that you know maybe should be coming to an end, but you still keep hanging out, and it just doesn't feel good afterwards. So energetic hygiene is something that we should discuss just to help you on a day-to-day basis. So daily practices like meditation and grounding and cord cutting, affirmations, salt baths, breath works, these are all things that help soothe your nervous system, so that you have more of a capacity to leave space for responding, to hold boundaries, to not feel resentful. And this comes from like addressing your needs and doing rituals that just make you feel good and grounded and centered. And using discernment is a skill worth developing. It is a superpower, because you can see through everything. Your intuition is a tool you can use to help discern what propaganda is telling you, if you come across any, what people's intentions are with you when they're trying to manipulate you. Discernment is realizing that some people are just entities that are designed to hold you back, and that they're not even worth engaging in. They're not conscious in any way, and they are just here to serve their purpose just as you are, but their purpose looks very different. So do not engage with people who are not healed, especially ones that are intent on stuffing you in a box or misunderstanding you. And protecting your energy doesn't mean that you won't feel fear. It's realizing that nothing can really touch you and that you are okay no matter what, because you are in charge and you can trust yourself, especially if you are working on inner child stuff and you're working on reparenting yourself. That is just being a leader to yourself and taking the lead in your life and allowing your inner child to follow you, feeling safe and secure and knowing that you will figure it out no matter what, and that you don't owe access to you to anyone, no matter who they are. If you feel like being in a relationship or talking to a certain person just isn't worth your mental health, even a job, just leave. Figure it out. You will find the people and places that are meant for you when you stop limiting yourself and staying stuck in relationships that don't serve you or workplaces that are just draining. No matter how safe that job is. I left the military, the government job, because my mental health was more important. And now I'm living a life that I am very proud of and very happy. And I am living my purpose and I feel so fulfilled, even though I was really scared to leave the military. So just know that you are in charge and that you have the armor that'll keep you safe if you decide to don it and you look at things from a spiritual perspective so that you can use discernment to take action on things that feel good or protect your energy from things that don't. So start to tune out the noise, start to cultivate better algorithm patterns, start to audit your relationships. Is this something I want to keep pursuing with someone? Is it becoming more and more serious and I should end it now because I don't feel the same way? What relationships am I giving more than I receive? These are all questions worth asking if you want to have relationships that are actually healthy and reciprocal and fulfilling, because you deserve the love that you give to others 100%. So also stay away from people who are like false prophets, false lights, who say they're there to help you, but all they do is drain like an energy vampire, or they just want money out of you. Do not give in to people who say you have to bypass or that you have to heal a certain way. Everything is up to you. Anything that tries to force its will on you is designed to help you learn energetic boundaries and physical boundaries and healthy boundaries. It's all practice. Let's think of it that way. This will take practice and it will take self-compassion. So don't give in to people's pressure when you notice that when you are living a certain way and then you're starting to get the results of that in a negative, like you're triggering people, just know it's part of the process and realize that these things do have to happen and that you are safe. I'm just going to keep telling you that you are safe. Do not be afraid. So let go of like comparison, let go of endless hustle, protect your energy by soothing your nervous system. And you can't do that by being in a constant state of hustle or flight or flight. Part of this is slowing down and not feeling like you have to overwork in order to make other people happy, or that you have to overgive to make other people happy. So you will start to heal the burnout, which will soothe your nervous system. But you have to not give in to the inner critic and the expectations of the constant overproductive society expectations that we live by. Just go back to your center and keep telling yourself you are safe, and use breath work and grounding techniques to carry you through as you do this unconditioning, this unlearning, because it will trigger you and it will trigger others especially. But you have the right to accept only good treatment and forget the rest. So always learn that rest is also a part of protecting your energy. People don't rest enough. I know I don't, and I'm really learning to like take weekends off, to stop working at a certain time, no matter what my to-do list looks like. unplugging and coming back to your center brings you back to your truth. And the more you learn to sit in that stillness, the more you heal what will come up for you. And then you'll start to hear the authentic soul level stuff underneath all that crap. It'll come up and then you'll process it properly because you're not shoving it down anymore, which allows you to live more authentically because you're more in tune with the stuff that's underneath all of that crap. So your authenticity, being said, is your weapon. And so walking in your truth, really working on these things, like especially people pleasing, will heal you, and it'll become a lighthouse for others. People will be inspired by you because you are healing, and that will cascade outward because they will inspire people who need healing, and so on and so on and so on. And the people who don't will naturally fall away on their own because they have their own life lessons that they may not learn in this lifetime, and that is their canon event. Do not interfere with other people's karma. That is another way to protect your energy, is to stop yourself from focusing on fixing or changing or healing others if you haven't addressed your own problems, if you haven't done your own healing or your own trauma bonds or your own reactions. Like, if you want someone to desperately change in your life and you see nothing but light in them and they're deeply dysfunctional, you need to look within to see, what do I need healing that makes me see so much love in someone who is so horrible and abusive to me. So if you're in a relationship that just, you know that they could do better, you are the light. You are the person who sees the good in them. You are the source of that. So if you are trying to change someone who isn't good for you, you need healing, and you should focus on that instead. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, and that's some tough love for you. So every time you choose alignment over approval, you reclaim your power. Every time you make a different choice, and you start to implement different habits and different thinking and beliefs in your life, and you aren't living in alignment anymore with what other people expect of you, you reclaim your power. And when you don't, just be compassionate with yourself. Even if I tell you to leave and you're not able to leave and you keep falling back in old patterns, I don't judge you, and you shouldn't either, because this stuff is the work. This is the hard stuff. I've spent 10 years in therapy. I still go to therapy often. I still work on it. It's still hard and it still sucks sometimes. So I'm with you, and I do not judge you at all if you mess up or you're not able to make changes easily. So just some final thoughts. Taken enough of your time, and I hope you're still listening at this point and this was helpful or enlightening to you. I'm here for you. So protecting your energy is an act of love and leadership as you reparent yourself, as you do the work in the inner child healing. Listening to your intuition is the best way to bypass the really hard work, because the healing will just become a byproduct of you living in line with your highest self, which embodies that version of you now, because you don't have to be healing, that you don't have to constantly be chasing after healing. That's another thing that comes with protecting your energy and healing from hustle and feeling like you're never healed, because that's what's been imparted on us, that we are constantly broken. There is no cure for anything. No, you are healed now, and you can embody your highest self now to wear it as armor and to heal yourself, and bypassing all the time that it takes to heal, because you are already embodying the version of you that is healed by making the right choices, by living in alignment with how you want to live, and soothing your nervous system as you go along. That's an important part of the process that will make it so much easier, because you will feel triggered. And that's when you need to soothe your nervous system. When you're taking action and you feel triggered and you want to hold yourself back, soothe your nervous system. It is the key. It is the hack. And you are never alone. You are part of a soul-led movement just by watching this video, just by being in my reality. You are now activated into your highest timeline. All you have to do is maintain it and make the right choices. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions or you need any more clarity, please comment below. Please subscribe, and please join the Intuitive Alchemy Collective if you want to learn how to integrate spirituality more into your daily life and harness your gifts so that you can protect your energy, be a light to others, and live in your infinite potential and live your purpose every day in a reality that you love and are excited to wake up to every day. I'd love to help you. If not, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.